Hey everybody, welcome back to Card Talk Podcast, where we spend just a little bit of time discussing the best scenarios in the game. I'm your host, Dave Walsh.
And I'm Matt Kell.
I'm Micah Quantz, and I'm here for the hot takes.
And I'm Ted Bannock. And I like talking about cards.
Where's your pun?
Today, we're going to be deep in the scenario. What's the scenario? I don't know. I don't even know.
Spot on impression.
Yo, yeah. Okay, so for anybody who doesn't know or didn't read the theme of today's show, we are going to talk about the best scenarios in the game, and we answered a survey where all the Card Talk crew took and decided what the best scenarios in the game were, and we didn't ask for feedback from the community or from patrons or from other creators of the community or even from designers. We just decided that we were going to pick our favorites and, believe it or not, least favorites, and needless to say, there's not a lot of agreement on best scenarios in the game. There was only 3 scenarios that more than one of us picked. So I don't know if we should just auto-include those, or if they...
Let's start there anyway.
Yeah,
I think that's a good starting point.
Okay. I mean, the Fire in the Night was one of them, which I didn't pick, but 2 people picked. One was Helm's Deep, which I picked, and then another one I also picked. You see where I lean here. Was Across the Entenmoors, and that's actually was the first one on my list, and that's the scenario that I actually like the most, Across the Entenmoors. So, but I mean, there's a lot of argument here, and I think the reason why is because if you're picking what the best, this is actually where Matt's logic on heroes probably makes the most sense. Like, it's the ones that introduce the kind of the best mechanics and make the scenarios interesting, as opposed to making them, just different and, like easy, hard, whatever. It's just ones that make them interesting. That said, Matt on his favorite scenarios list put the hardest scenarios. He's like, Fortress of Nirn is fun.
with power level on scenarios.
Yeah, right. So I don't even know, Matt, but
oh, come on. You gotta give, I also mentioned I encountered Amon Din, so I've got the full spectrum here. I picked the easiest scenario of the game and the hardest.
And Escape from Mount Graham is also, but then Karn Doom and Nirn. No in between.
Yeah, I mean, and funny thing is Karn Doom made the people's list of the worst scenarios too, where the hardest isn't necessarily the best. As long as it's well balanced, I could see that hard scenarios making it, but I don't know.
If it's on somebody's worst list, does it mean we get to disqualify it from top 5?
Fortunately, that doesn't happen too often. Just with Nirn and Karn Doom.
I'll say this about Karn Doom. I like that there's kind of an alternate win scenario system with it, because you can kind of lock down the encounter deck by playing around the mechanism that you don't discard shadow cards. So Forest there, a core set card becomes a silver bullet to that scenario. Also, I always really like that Thawdir that a pain in your side throughout the whole cycle, pretty much up until that point. You finally get to defeat him, and he's also interesting because he's flipping from his champion side to like what is it, like his general side or whatever.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of interesting mechanism back and forth with that as well.
Actually, I don't mind Karn Doom. It's not my top 5, but it's fun.
Yeah, I don't care what excuses you give, Matt. I'm not putting Khartoum on this list, okay? So, like...
I just had to get my 2 cents in there.
Yeah, I mean...
see the window was blown.
On the hard scenarios, I think that Karn Doom is, like, a fair, hard scenario, right? Like, it's hard, you know what you're in for, you know, you can make progress on it, and you can feel like you're getting there, and then you get, you know, like, it's fair and hard. It's not just like, you know, getting sudden pitfall in some of those earlier Kaza Doom scenarios, you know. But we spend too long talking about scenarios that aren't going to make the list.
All right, so
I think the starting point is Helm's Deep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think that scenario is interesting. It's challenging. It's not an auto lose all the time. And I think it really represents, and I kind of don't love that I'm going to say this, but it kind of really represents the, like, all of the scenarios that are in the campaign, in the Saga campaign, like just how thematic and awesome, and you know, like it's just very good. And like, I would be happy if that was the only Saga scenario that made it, although, you know, some people, what were some of the, there was Breaking of the Fellowship, Ringo South, and Journey in the Dark also made that on the list, but I would be happy putting Helm's Deep as the representative of that.
Helm's Deep probably is in my top 10. So I do enjoy the, like, how it flips the script a bit on who's questing and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a little easier to manage than the other two that kind of do similar things, because you don't have a separate staging area with the enemies totally in their threat. It's all just, oh, here's where they're at, and you have to manage their their threat to keep them from making progress on the locations.
Yeah.
I love Helm's Deep. Yeah, very very thematic and stuff too, and it's a really good power level. Like it tends a little toward the harder side of things, or it can, but it's a really good, like, solid power level that I think it hits the sweet spot as far as difficulty.
Yeah. And I just think I don't know, I just really like, it's one of those counter quests too for somebody who hasn't played it or is looking forward to play it. I don't necessarily want to give away the spoilers, although you may hear some, you know, but it's one of those counter quests too, where you have to put counters on a objective, you know, like sometimes those are, you know, challenging to say the least. You know, I'm looking at you, Mount Gundabat, you know, like, you know, it goes off every 3 times, and you know, or like a time quest. Like, I'm not a fan of those, but you know, you know what? I felt so good about it. I put Helm's Deep right here on the list. So
Nice.
I'm putting it on the list. Okay. The other one, and I'll say this because Across the Entenmoors made Micah's list and my list, and that is one of my...
Wait, what? No,
it didn't make yours.
False.
No,
it did. Wait, unless I have this backwards.
That's not my what? No,
Okay.
Across the Entenmoors.
I see.
No.
Yeah, I don't see Across the Entenmoors on
Waste of Eriador would be close on my list, but not Across the Entenmoors. See, to me, like, Across the Entenmoors,
That's
I
Grant's
think
list.
is the most bland scenario in the Angmar Awakened cycle.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Really?
Yeah, it's the most bland, forgettable, boring scenario in the whole cycle, I think.
I not only do I love Across the Entmoors because it's fun, but I love it because when they added the campaign, it was the one that made that it changed that quest the most to make it the most different, which I thought was great. Because you go in expecting one thing and you're like, oh, wait, oh. And so
Right.
I just really love Across the Entmoors, but you guys aren't going to give that to me. Huh?
Wow.
Nah, I've only played it solo and 2-player, but solo it was basically like, oh, if my threat is started, if I start my threat low enough and I quest hard, I'll have no problems with this because you don't necessarily have to engage a lot of the enemies because they're so high engagement cost threat, and the safe locations also shelter you a lot from a lot of the challenges in that quest. And actually, the campaign didn't change that strategy at all. In fact, it was just put on accelerator. It's like, oh, I gotta get through this quickly so I don't gain as many burdens.
Right.
So questing hard is still the A strategy for that one.
Yeah, I think the Angmar cycle is so good, but Across the Entmoor just kind of breaks that rhythm where it's just like it's not that I dislike it. I think it's a solid quest still, but it's just kind of boring. It doesn't stand out in the cycle at all.
Yeah.
Oh, like Way Severiador? Is that the one that you want to put on the list?
Yeah, no, it's not. But
the one with the day-night, right?
yeah, I like that one.
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
yeah.
Okay, well Across the Entmoor is off. What about Fire in the Night? 2 people said Fire in the Night. And I don't know
Absolutely.
That's Micah and I. And
Oh,
I mean, I like the. It feels like you get a lot of variety in that quest because you don't know the order of the side quests that are going to come up.
Mhm.
You have to complete in order to actually do damage to what is it, Dagdir and everything.
Right.
And in some ways, it's kind of Battle of Lake Town revamped because you're trying to protect the town, and it's just a bit more interesting in that because you still have to deal with Dagdir, you still have to worry about the attacks, you still have to protect the town, but then the side quests keep adding different effects that are going on instead of worry about with Smog about Lake Town, like which version of Smog am I going to see? And there's only 3, so you can pretty easily predict what Smog is going to do, whereas the side quests keep kind of throwing a wrench in it for you.
I could see Fire in the Night being up there, but I don't love it. Like I don't come back to it, especially playing solo. Like I don't know. I don't love it solo.
I enjoy it a lot solo because of that, just flipping over all those side quests and making through them in progression.
Yeah, I really like the side quest thing, and like you said, I feel like it's very much a Battle of Lake Town but better. And I like that. Yeah, trying to keep the 50 damage off your town before it goes up in flames, and
Rothgar's Hill, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
You get to kill Dragon Dave.
Yeah.
I haven't played Epic. I haven't played the Epic multiplayer for it. I really would like to sometime.
I did. I played it. It was good. It was really good.
Yeah, Epic. That's the other part of it that kind of helps elevate it in my mind because I played in that, and although all the stuff they added for that in terms of how you cooperate amongst the teams was really interesting. Great, that's all unofficial fan made stuff, but it
Right.
was
Keep
really
it
solid.
keep it
addition.
to official. Keep it to official, Matt.
But still, the official version I still really
I
enjoy.
I
And
have a
like
I have a
the
fan
bundle
made version
as
of
well.
Across the Entenmoors that you guys would love. There's
But to
dragons and smog. Rothgar's
me,
Hill.
it is definitely the standout best quest in Arid Mithrin.
Yeah.
And I like that you have the option of I like that you have the option of being like, because everywhere else in Arid Mithrin is like, you have this big dragon that's attacking you, you have to have some big defender on the board. But then here you have the option where you can let a few of those attacks slide, because you can take it on the hill. But yeah, I don't know. I really like it.
My favorite in the Arid Mithrin cycle is Lost in Mirkwood.
The slog quest.
Well, it doesn't have to be, right? That's Micah's trying to remember what it is. So you
I can't even remember it.
you go to the objective locations. When you go to the location, you get to go to it'll say travel change the quest card to the next A or C, and then you go to the next. It's got like the Twilight Hall, and then you go to the next quest card, and then you go to the next location, and it says advance to the next quest A or C, like, and so you go through the quest in a lot of different ways, and it's exactly like when the Bilbo and the dwarves go through Mirkwood. Every time you run across the elves' place. So okay, Micah does not like this. He didn't even make an impact on Micah trying to remember what it is.
I think I've probably played it once, and I don't remember this quest at all.
Okay. I mean, I could see Fire in the Night making it, because it seems to be like, I agree with like what you're saying, however much I'm giving you a hard time about it, but I don't know. Okay. We'll come back to that.
Someone's gonna counter the Fire of the Night fan club over here between Micah and I.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess so. Okay, so here's one that I was surprised didn't make the list, but I think should be on the list, is Journey Along the Anduin. Like, out of the core set, you're getting a scenario that you come back to time and time again to play. It's always fun. It challenges your deck. I mean, it's you can bring so many different decks against it. You know what you're up against, but that still doesn't mean you're not going to lose right away. And so, like, I think that this list has to have Journey Along the Anduin on it. That's my spiel for Journey Along the Anduin.
Like, that's a hot take. In some ways I agree with you.
I mean, the big thing is that it's a core set quest that is still, with the whole game released, is still a good quest to play. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but like, this is, I mean, I think that Journey Along the Anduin has to be on this list, but I'm the only one that suggested it.
I could definitely see the arguments for Journey Along the Anduin. And actually, when we talked about doing the show tonight, I was thinking about it. I was like, Journey Along the Anduin might be like close to getting onto my list, just for that aspect of like, what quest was the standout of the core set and made me think, oh yeah, this is going to be a good game. Because like, just those 3 stages feel so different. Cause like the Hill Troll, the first stage, like you're trying to build up and like, oh, got to worry about this big enemy right away, figure out a solution for it. Then once you get past that, it's like, oh, we got to run. We got to get through this next stage as fast as we can. And then at the end of that, you have to deal with a bunch of enemies. Like it changes dramatically just over the course of the scenario between each quest stage, and they feel very distinct.
They feel very distinct, yet it feels cohesive.
Right.
And it
'cause
feels reflective of the source material too, right? Like, so I don't know.
yeah, it's definitely a like. I think it is a very strong contender for the top spots.
I get it, and I don't think I would disagree. Personally, if I'm looking at returning to the core set, Journey Down the Anduin is going to be the last one I return to.
What? What? What do they give you up in
Because
Canada? What
I'm
kind
either-
of craziness is up there? Oh my
either,
gosh.
if I'm returning to the core set, I'm either introducing a new player to the game, so I'm playing Passage Through Mirkwood, or I'd rather play Dol Guldur.
Solo?
I never play solo. That's the thing.
Is it you and your brother playing, or like
Me and my wife normally.
like I play solo. I probably play Journey Along the Anduin about half as many times as I play every other scenario in the game.
Wow.
Because it's
definitely...
there's no shenanigans, like there's no crazy mechanics that you have to worry about. It's just a good standard well-developed quest for any deck in the card pool. You want to build a new deck? That's your deck testing deck scenario.
I see that. I get it. I just never come back to it.
You're on crack.
You know what is my deck testing scenario? Waste of Ariador.
Waste of Ariador. Well, nobody's perfect. So, but then Waste of Ariador's got mechanic to worry about. Like,
yep.
I don't know.
Yep, it does. I'm not.
Here, I'll
negotiate.
I'll negotiate with you. Fire in the Night for Journey Along the Anduin.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I'll put it on this list. I'm not opposed to it. I just personally don't come back to it. I see why it's good, and I see the reason why people do come back to it, but I just personally don't play it much.
Matt, are you okay with that trade?
Yeah, I'm okay with that. And like I said, thinking about it even just before this show, is like, yeah, Journey Along the Anduin should be on the short list of scenarios for top one.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, and then Fire in the Night gets there. I mean, look, I'm putting Fire Night. Okay, so let's talk about some of the other ones that made the list that I don't necessarily feel as strongly about. I'm going to start in Grant's list because he's not here. He said the Battle of the Five Armies.
No, that's my list.
Do I have these backwards?
That is my list.
Yeah,
Battle of Five Armies is my top scenario.
Oh, okay.
Grant starts with Foundations of Stone.
Okay, let me go to Grant's list. Okay. Foundations of Stone. I like what that scenario did for the game, but I don't think it's one of the top 5 scenarios in the game. And as a solo player,
yeah,
I mean, I've played it. I had one of the most epic moments I had playing 4-player was with Foundations of Stone, but I played it one time 4-player, and it was awesome. We didn't draw. We challenged the whatever it was, and we ended up making it out. Right? Is it Foundations of Stones where you have to, or am I?
Foundations of Stone, you split into different stage areas.
Flight from Moria. Yeah, you have the 4 different staging areas. But I thought this, Flight. I'm conflating, but I'm thinking that Flight from Moria and Foundations of Stone were the same thing. They come back together, but it's not. But I do like the 4 staging areas, like that idea. But I've never played that 4-player.
It is incredible. I do really like the scenario, but I think Fog on the Borrow Downs does it better. And the reason I say that is because the one thing that bugs me the most about Foundations of Stone is there's no consequence for dropping a player. You can just sacrifice player, say goodbye, see ya, and you move on to the next stage. Whereas Fog on the Borrow Downs, it's like, okay, you lose a player, everybody goes up in threat by 5.
Yeah, I mean, but I still wouldn't put it on the top 5 scenarios. We only have 2 spots left, so
Yeah.
Yeah. Foundations of Stone fell flat for me solo as well. And the couple times I played it multiplayer, I was like, okay, that was just okay.
Right.
And some of it was that we split, had one deck that was more combat focused, one was more willpower focused, and then you get the wrong quest stage when you split into different stagey areas, and it's like, okay, now we really are struggling against something that we probably shouldn't be if things had fallen just slightly differently.
Right. Okay, so Foundations of Stone, not there. Okay, Grant also picked the Steward's Fear.
I really like that scenario because of the boss battles and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They did re-implement that again with Danger and Darwinian.
Yeah.
And it's done a little better, but not as difficult.
Right.
So I don't know. I still like the Steward's Fear, even though there's another implementation of it.
Yeah.
I think it's still a really solid scenario. It's just when I've gone back to it, it's one of those, it's like some of the stuff could catch you by surprise again, where it's like, dang it, stupid assassin engaging is terrible. You definitely don't want to,
yeah.
You got to optionally engage it, not let it engage with you to mitigate the effects. Even then, if you're not prepared for it, it can just destroy everything.
Or the treachery where the ally stabs you in the back.
Oh
Your
yeah.
ally kills you.
Right.
I think Steward's Fear is a really solid one. It would be on my short list. I think it's a good one. For sure. I come back to that one quite a bit.
Yeah, this one wouldn't have been on my list. I mean, it's good, but we could say that about most of the scenarios. Ted, who's not here, he said the Oath. He went both the Oath and Passage Through Mirkwood.
I have a feeling that, we were talking about the best heroes and stuff. Ted took the approach of like, what would he be introduced to a new player approach with some of these? And, the Oath is not super difficult. Passage Through Mirkwood is the tutorial quest. So,
right.
And it's still, Passage Through Mirkwood has its thematic moments, like it tries to do the whole dwarves are lost in Mirkwood as the first attempt with Bjorn's path and the other path.
Right.
So, I just, the Oath, unless I'm playing with newer people, it's not one I think about really. Like, I played a couple times, and it's like, all right, that was decent. I'll keep it in mind when I have someone new I'm trying to teach the game to.
Okay.
I feel a whole lot of nostalgia for Passage Through Mirkwood, and like I would put it on for basically the reasons you would put on Journey down the Anduin. But yeah, I don't think it belongs here, especially with Journey Along the Anduin already on here.
Yeah, I think we have to narrow this down to like now, like cycles that aren't represented. So like we have Arid Mithrin, we have the Saga, we have the core set. Like, so is Angmar Awakened? You guys hated Across the Entenmoors, even though Grant and I are loving it. But Ted said the Weather Hills.
The Weather Hills I like. it's a solid quest for if you're playing like Dunedain, because you basically start off trying to fight the orcs and hunt them down and get the those counters on that objective to flip it.
Right.
And then once you flip it, you get kind of swarmed with more orcs. But it plays really well into that because you're always looking for more orcs. It puts out more orcs. Even the orc enemies put out more orcs usually for you too.
Right.
So it plays in very well. It's like, yes, if you're playing a Dunedain type deck, like you could easily play to that strength. Like, I want to engage the enemies, I want to fight them. It's a good kind of like, if you want a combat-ish heavy quest, it's not terribly difficult because like the cornered orcs are nothing really. It's like, this is a good one. It's not very high on my list of the Angmar Awakens cycle quests, like, but
I take back I take back what I said about Across the Ettenmoors being the most forgettable Angmar quest because of the Weather Hill.
For anybody who didn't know, who's listening, Micah, as soon as I said the Weather Hills, he immediately looked sharply to the, well, at least as I'm sitting, to the right, and he was like, I could see the wheels turning, like, wait, what's the Weather Hills? What's the Weather Hills? What's the Weather Hills? So, okay. So the Weather Hills doesn't go on it. What quest from Angmar Awakens makes the top? What's the best quest in that whole cycle? Not Karn Doom. That's not named Karn Doom. Cross the Ettenmoors.
Escape from Mount Graham.
I do like that one a lot.
I actually really like that one too. Like, I avoided it. I played it a couple of times when I first got it, and I was like, oh, this is too fiddly. And then I played it like 3 or 4 times, like with the release of the campaign, and I'm like, oh, this is actually really a good scenario. So
it is really good. The only problem with it is once you get to playing it at 3 or 4 players, it's hard to manage playing it at a high player count. You have to keep like all of your cards separated underneath all these other encounter cards that are capturing, and it's pretty messy.
Could see that. I haven't played it. I don't even know if I've played it 2-player. I don't think I've only ever played it solo, but that's like a solo experience, like sneaking out of the dungeons, getting your allies and heroes back.
I've played it at I've played it at 3, and I don't think I'd want to play it at 4.
Okay. Well, I'm not opposed to Mount Graham. Let's see. Intruders in Chetwood. I like that quest. It's one quest card.
It's a good pickup quest because there's only the one quest card. You've got the big war party to deal with, and it's a pretty straightforward scenario outside of that.
Is that one better than Mount Graham?
No.
In terms of like fun and interesting, I don't think so. I think that part of its appeal is the kind of the simplicity of it.
Right.
Because all you're really trying to do is
constructed really well.
Yeah.
Okay. Dead Man's Dyke.
I like that one a lot because of the
discard
milling strategy that it does against you. You really have to build for it. It's not like, I don't know if I could put it as a top quest because you can't like just grab people and be like, here, let's play Deadman's Dyke and bring any old deck to it, right?
Okay. So Mount Graham is still there. Waste we talked about. Across the Ettenmoors. Treachery of Rudar.
That one is tough solo to manage, and you'll never get like all 3 side quests completed.
I came so close. I came so close doing it with my Sylvan deck. Oh my god. But
yeah, if you managed it, I'd be very impressed.
I feel like Treachery, like so I actually hadn't played Treachery till just like a couple months ago.
Okay.
And I had heard a lot of good things about Treachery. So I was like really excited going into the scenario. and I came out on the other side just like
The hype
it
didn't.
was fine. I don't know.
Okay, so which one's better, Mount Graham or Treachery?
Mount Graham.
Yeah, Mount Graham.
Okay.
I would like to try Treachery in Nightmare mode some point, but that looked interesting.
Okay, Karn Doom, we agree. Dread Realm, I still think like that. It's still really hard. It's at the end of the quest. It's very, very, I don't know, very specific.
We'll talk about Dread Realm in another video.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm gonna put Mount Graham just at the bottom. That way we don't have to talk about anything from from
Angmar.
Yeah. I am not going to count anything in Heirs of Numenor for myself. Just because. Wait. Yeah, Heirs of Numenor. Just the time. Although I do like. Wait, which one's the one with the time?
Ringmaker.
Yeah, the
Ringmaker.
Ringmaker.
I like the. It's better than the sailing mechanic.
Yeah.
I mean,
Celebrimbor's Secret's the main one that I'm like, for Ringmaker, I'm like, I will try to get people to play that one. I think it's really fun and interesting, but I still would not put it as one of my top ones.
If I'm choosing one from Ringmaker, it's got to be 3 Trials, but...
Yeah, but I don't think any of them are making...
No.
Like...
I don't know.
3 Trials is really good, but it's really tough in solo to feel like, oh yes, I want to play that. That's more pick-up multiplayer game, like, sure, 3 Trials. That's a good even medium difficulty that's interesting to get people to play.
Right. Okay, so now that brings us to the Heirs of Numenor, and I do like Encounter at Amon Din. That's a good scenario.
Okay. That's my top one.
Yeah. But Micah, you like Stewart's Fear. Do you like Amon Din more than Stewart's Fear? Or?
Oh man, that's hard to say. I like. I mean, the biggest problem I have with Amon Din is it's way too easy. So I almost find it's not worth playing. I really like the quest. I like what it's trying to do, but I almost find it's not even worth playing just because I know I'm gonna steamroll it. Like,
so
it's definitely a palate cleanser a lot of the time, where it's like, okay, I just took down like Fortress of Nerd or Card Doom. Like, what am I gonna cleanse with? To be like, here's an easier one, and I really just get into the theme of it. Like, I think it's the most heroic quest in the game.
Yeah. I would put Steward's Fear above Amon Din unless I'm playing Amon Din Nightmare.
we're not dealing with Nightmare. Here's the thing. I would put Amon Din at the top of that list. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put Amon Din here. Okay. And so what about the Dwardelf cycle? Foundations of Stone we talked about. Is Shadow and Flame? I don't love Shadow and Flame. I like Journey in the Dark as a beat the Balrog quest better than I like Shadow and Flame.
And Shadow and Flame, like, once you kind of know the trick of it, or you try like the Faint Lock or staying at 0, it's kind of like, okay, I don't need to play that again.
I love Dwardelf as a cycle. It's probably my favorite cycle overall. But as far as the individual quests, there's none that are like, that is my favorite. The best quest for me in Dwardelf is Watcher in the Water.
Really?
I really like that one a lot too.
Okay.
Fighting the Watcher is a good boss battler. I've actually been forgetting about it because I played it a lot when I first got it. I kind of overdid it to the point where I was like, all right, I really enjoyed that. I got to step away from it.
I love Watcher in the Water.
Yeah, I don't love Watcher in the Water. I mean, I like it. I think it's a good quest, but I'd rather play 7th level Into the Pit. You know,
7th level is a good one where it's like, hey, do you want to fight swarms of orcs?
Mm.
Okay, well let's come back because I don't know. Okay, so I have a feeling like the Grey Havens is not going to be well liked. So what about the Sands of Harad?
Wait,
Escape.
well,
Yeah.
can we go back to the Dream Chaser cycle?
Okay, I thought we were going to talk about this on another episode.
Yeah, we will. We will
Oh, okay.
as well. But oh, I'm sure
Hey,
I put it on my list. Yeah, Temple of the Deceived
Okay, yeah, the map
is
mechanic.
my third favorite quest in the game.
You like
Love
the
it.
map mechanic.
That is my highlight. I just want to say that. That's all I want to say. We can move on now. Do with that what you want. But that is
I will
just
say
wanna
I enjoy the map
highlight
mechanic
that.
as an interesting twist on it normally. I have a tendency not to revisit it just because it's easy to cheese with like,
Hmm.
Path of Need or some of the other location attachment stuff.
Hmm.
So, but it's also kind of a bear to set up, right? Because you gotta
Right.
deal everything out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if I also play Fortress of Nern, so set of it.
Not
is
only
always
that,
my
but you
primary
like
solution.
Fortress of Nern. What about Harad?
I really like Escape from Umbar and Desert
Escape from.
Crossing as like, pickup game quests.
I love the Mumakil.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think they have some really solid stuff. And Race Across Harad is my favorite of the cycle there.
We're gonna talk about that on a different episode. You
I
think?
really like Crossings of Poros.
Has interesting decision space for sure with the branching paths and the quests.
Mhm. I like that it like you get to, like you are building your encounter deck as you go, like, and I really like that aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely mechanically interesting. It's just I don't know. A lot of the
But
Harad quests I don't go back to.
if I have to choose a favorite from Harad, it's probably gonna be the Mama Kill. Yeah.
Do you like the Mumakil?
Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay. Well, I won't put anything down there. I do like Escape from Mumbar too, but okay. What Ravanian we already did, and how about a Shadow in the East? Now, Micah, have you played all the Shadow in the East stuff?
I haven't.
Okay.
I've played the first 3.
Okay. Danger and Dorwinian is my favorite of those because that's the repackaged Steward's Fear. I like that.
I would say, yeah, I would agree with that, I think. I've played Challenge of the Wainriders, which I was not really impressed with. Fortress of Nern. I think that's all the ones I've played from that cycle.
I like City Volfast, but I like that for its interesting mechanic more than I like it as a that's not an entry level scenario.
I want to
Wrath
play.
and Ruin is the one where you capture locations like Assault Lost Gileath, right?
What is? Which one?
Wrath and Ruin.
Yes. It's been yeah. It's been a while since I've played it. Yes. Yeah.
City of Belfast is the one with the city guard that has like 8 attack or whatever.
Yeah, and it has lowering engagement cost the more counters it gets on it. And so
I really want to play through this cycle. Just play it right through. There's I think I have 8 or maybe 10 quests in the game that I haven't played, and 4 of them are in here. So
yeah, I think that's going to be the problem with picking Vengeance of Mordor in general as top quests, is that not many people got a chance to play them unless they know of Dragon cards now and go there and play it.
Right.
And they are very varied. Like I could pretty much have it as my top cycle besides Angmar Awaken now. And it's because a lot of those quests are really solid. They really dived hard into, hey, let's make some really interesting scenarios that'll last people a while.
I know. And not for nothing, they also probably had the best run of player cards in that cycle too. So.
I think, yeah, I don't know that I would say any of the ones that I have played from there would be anywhere near my favorite quests. I know Temple of Doom would be near my least favorite quests.
Oh,
I kind of like that one, but
yeah,
you
I mean,
know.
it's got some replayability with what's the 5 cards set aside, the
The Power Mordor set.
yeah, the Power
Yeah.
Mordor deck, yeah.
Is that what was one of the Caleb suggestions to like spice up your normal scenario? Like,
Yeah, just take that Power of Mordor deck and
add it in.
Add it into other things. It's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I just prefer the day-night card. Do the day-night card. That's
Yeah,
it.
that's right.
Well, I mean, should we just add Mount Graham and Amon Din to this list then? Like,
Well, Hobbit Saga.
oh, Hobbit, because you want to put on there the Battle of the Five Armies.
Battle of 5 Armies. That is my favorite question in the game.
Out of the Hobbit saga, I like that one the most.
The Hobbit Saga is so hit and miss. Like, it's just like...
Oh, it's got the worst scenario in the game, Dungeons Deep and Caverns Dim. And it's got, a good scenario.
I think the Lonely Mountain is worse.
The Lonely Mountain is that.
That's
it's the one where it's like you want to. It's wanting you to go get all those treasures, but you have absolutely no reason to go get all those treasures, so you just skip it and win the quest. Like,
right. Yeah. I hate the riddle mechanic.
Yeah, the riddle mechanic. I don't like that one either. But then, yeah, the second one in that first box, I really like that one, and I really like Flies and Spiders.
Yeah, I
think Flies.
I think Flies and Spiders is okay with the poison mechanic and stuff. So
I'd agree on that. But
I would put the Battle of 5 Armies on this list as the best of the Hobbit cycle.
I would agree with that.
Okay. BO5A. That's Bofa. Do you know what Bofa is? Okay, I'm sorry. Well, I mean, that's 3. I mean, we're picking, and we didn't even look at the print on demand scenarios. Like, of course we could go double up and stuff. Like, how we have, we've been recording now for 35 minutes or something. Like, at some point, like, is there a POD scenario that's better than Mount Graham? Like,
that's the one area where I'm spotty. So I've played some of them, but not all of them, or some of them I've at least attempted once, but haven't like beaten them. So I don't have a great familiarity with all of them in terms of like where they're at.
The only one I would say, like, well, even I really like I like Fog on the Borrow Downs, but Murder at the Prancing Pony would definitely be.
So that's one of the ones I keep hearing is great, and I've attempted it like twice and lost in a few rounds, and then I keep being like, oh, I'll go back to it when I get through all the pure and on demand.
I finally beat it for the first time the other day. I've played it probably a dozen times. I finally beat it, and it was very satisfying.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those scenarios that I heard about, and I thought it was going to be fun, and it just smacked me around. I think that it's like you just get threat raised the whole time you're doing it. Like, you're like threat. At least that's what happened to me. And I was like, oh, and I played it 2 or 3 times, and I was like, oh, I totally didn't expect it. And I've never played it multiplayer. Apparently it's like way better multiplayer. Massing at Osgiliath is also the one that people come back to as well. Battle of Lake Town, too hard. The Stone of Eric is all right. Ruins of Belagast is fun.
I've played it once and we died very quickly, and I haven't gone back to it yet.
Yeah, I've played that one a couple times. It is very difficult, and it's you felt like we made some decent progress where we got to like stage 2, but it's still like you read some well-tuned decks for it.
Yeah. And Siege of Numinos, Attack on Doldur are good.
I haven't
played those at all.
Yeah, I mean,
those are 2 that I need to play yet.
It's hard. And then Hunt for the Dreadnought, right?
That one I attempted once, it got smashed, and I was like, okay, that's gonna require some thought.
We played Hunt for Dreadnought the other day, and it was one of those ones that really let me down. I was thinking, man, this is gonna be great, and it's like, oh, we get to do boats, but we don't have to even sail,
right?
And it just, I can see it being really cool in an epic multiplayer mode, but just as a scenario by itself, it's fine, I guess.
Okay. So here's the thing. We have 2 spots. Right now, our list is Helm's Deep, Anduin, and Fire in the Night. Okay, so we have Mount Graham, Amon Din, and Battle of the Five Armies. We've pretty much mentioned every scenario in this whole game at this point, right? So, like, so Mount Graham versus Amon Din versus Battle of the Five Armies. I'm still going to pick Mount Graham and Amon Din over Battle of Five Armies. Matt,
okay.
what are you picking?
I mean, I feel like I have to pick those same 2 over Battle of Five Armies. I've played, because I just haven't played Battle of Five Armies that much. Like, it's one of those I've played a couple of times. I won. Second time, I've only played it really multiplayer. But I get, like, it is really cool.
Yeah, the 3 quest cards, and like it's
picking
cool.
which quest you're doing, and it's one that like Hero Bayorn can really shine because you just have so many enemies coming at you, and they're not all that high attack necessarily. So I think it is a great one. Like if we put it on the list, I would not be like, oh man.
I mean, Micah could talk me into Battle of Five Armies over Mount Graham. But
okay. I have to give up Mount Graham. I
can see a stronger argument against Amon Din just because of the difficulty. Like, I get it, even though it's the one I like go to be like, I just want to have a good time. I want to save some people. In fact, my preferred method of Amon Din is, can I save every single villager?
Yeah. I think, yeah. I mean, if I can get Battle of Five Armies here, Mount Graham can drop off. I don't care what else happens. But I would personally go Battle of Five Armies and then Mount Graham. But Amon Din is good. I definitely like. Yeah, it is a really good, really fun quest. It just is, yeah, very, very easy. But yeah, I would put Battle of Five Armies here.
Okay, I'm gonna put Amon Din on the list and Battle of Five Armies.
Sounds good.
Okay. So card talks. This one is way arbitrary. So
compared to the moderately arbitrary that we've
it's so hard because people just love different parts, right? Like one man's Emin Muil is another person's, journey along the Anduin, right? So,
yeah.
But
and they do a good job of varying the scenarios, right? Because even we were talking about with like Angmar and Dream Chaser, like you don't have the same kind of quest back to back. It's not just, oh, we quest and then we fight. It's, we got to deal with this in addition to this.
Right. And every one of these has a different thing, right? Some are normal, so okay. So our list, not in any particular order. Helm's Deep has a twist to it with the questing, right? Journey Along the Anduin is a boss battle situation, but with a little bit of a twist that it's in the first round, right? Fire in the Night, those side quests, it's good. Battle of Five Armies, 3 active quest cards at the same time. And then Amon Din is kind of like, rescue the villagers, and we go from there. It's all 5 of these have, and even Mount Graham, that's a capture mechanic. So it's like all of these scenarios are just widely varied, on the top 5. It's not like we're like, okay, boss battle. So it's, Anduin, Lake Town, all fast. We're Journey in the Dark. We're not just doing that.
Yeah, they're not all big boss battles. They're not all
Right.
just dealing with locations or something.
Right. I guess Fire in the Night could be considered a boss battle, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say it's boss battle with the side quest twist, right?
Yeah. It's the side questy, but
I wouldn't. I don't know. I wouldn't consider Anduin a boss battler, but
we talked about earlier. I feel like it's kind of the 3 stages, right? The first stage is the boss battle. Second stage is the quest till you win, and then the third one is kind of like you swarmy-ish because of the ambush.
Yeah,
with the putting a few different enemies into play.
Right.
So that one's like the most varied just in of itself.
Yeah.
Right. It's got a lot of different things. So, I think that this is a good representation of everything that we have going on, right? Like, I think that that's also a strong...
Well, even just the ones we talked about, it's like, Temple of the Deceived is the map quest. And
right. Yeah. Like Karn Doom and Nirn, like, I know that we gave you a raft of crap for it, Matt, but like those are completely different mechanics, right? One is all the shadow cards, and the other one is take your whole deck away from you and see what you can do. So it's, there's a lot of different things going on here. So, yeah. Well, I don't love this list, but I don't hate it for sure. I like it. I like it a lot more than I dislike it. So I guess we're gonna put it in the books, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, everybody. Well, there we go. That's our top 5 best scenarios, and we'll talk again very soon. Have a great day, everybody.
Do you love the content? Here's what you can do to stay connected. Become a patron. The money collected through Patreon goes into keeping the lights on here at the podcast. We love our patrons, and you can join at many different levels. Visit patreon.com/cardtalk2018. You can subscribe to us, whether you're watching our YouTube channel or you're listening to us in your favorite podcatcher. Hit the subscribe button to get notifications of all our new episodes. Didn't know we were an audio podcast? Find us by searching Card Talk to get access to our 120 plus regular episodes. Didn't know we were a video channel? Find us by searching Card Talk LOTR LCG on YouTube, and there you can find not only our regular episodes, but you can find our bonus playthroughs and other content related to the game. Want to get a hold of Ted, Grant, or myself? Feel free to email the podcast at cardtalk2018@gmail.com.